A very key role for beaver in all of this because of what they do in terms of raising water tables, in terms of their natural intrinsic behavior, they want to recharge this groundwater and bring that water level up to the surface. These large-scale problems, climate change, loss of water storage, they require large-scale solutions. And if we're really talking about beaver restoration on any serious level, we need to do it at a watershed scale.
I mean, what happens when you trap out, several 100 million beavers? Well, hundreds of millions of beaver dams break down, and you lose those ponds and wetlands. You take nothing else from this short talk. It's that the loss of beavers is a profound environmental disaster for all kinds of creatures.
When the Russians came down, stripping the coast of sea otter, the Boston sailors and traders came shortly thereafter, and they put to shore and offered the indigenous peoples trinkets in exchange for pelts of all kinds, beavers, wolves. I believe the California coast was stripped of beaver first, before Jedediah Smith comes. Jedediah Smith comes in 1828. I believe it's because the coast was stripped, and this is true, I think, for much of our early historical fauna in California.
And it turns out that after a while, some of those willow clippings actually take root on that point bar and work to extend that point bar, which means that beaver create more meandering in streams. And the more a stream meanders, the more it's going to tend to jump in banks when it's at high flow and flood that riparian area and flood that floodplain and charge that aquifer. And so we get willow growing there. They farm willow. Why does this matter especially? Well, studies show that if you have enough willow, it can actually slow down floods.
One of the reasons is that as a tribal community, beaver, to even name them, caused so much controversy that it was debilitating at some levels, and I would equate it also to the erasure of us. We do in fact have a word for beaver, and it's hichichi in our language, and isn't part of our creation stories. And so we know that beaver has always been here since before we were, and we hope that they will continue to be here.
Beaver meadows create that sort of balance between resistance and resilience. They are hit by big storms, they resist small ones, and then once those storms pass, they often rebuild. And so you get a resilient system. They support conditions for our rare amphibians and birds. And they really can teach us about restoring aquatic systems to maximize biodiversity. And so I encourage us to really think about what we're talking about here and how to apply it to what we do in our jobs.
Beaver Habitat, I would say, since we're limited on being able to translocate beaver in the state of California, building these beaver dam analogs is a great way to try to get them to expand their footprint. So if you can build them in a neighboring reach or even a neighboring watershed, you may be successful in getting beaver to move over. So to encourage the beaver when they do come over to stay and colonize. Where
they are effective, even after 10 years, we have a 95% success rate with these devices. Versus in the blue here, you'll see the success rate drops pretty dramatically because the habitat's there, and you remove beavers and new beavers are going to move in. So, and then you're right back where you started with the using the flow devices is the most cost-effective and long-term option.
There's one last thing we've got to talk about, and that's courage. And the best friends we're ever going to have are those that will say the hard things to us, not just support who and how we are, but actually help us grow. So as a friend, I have to tell you folks on the CDFW side of things, Fish and Game Commission right now is on the wrong side of history here. But you cannot simultaneously work for endangered species and kill thousands of the beavers that support them every single year. It's organizational schizophrenia. And the pace and scale of restoration is way too slow. Climate change is orders of magnitude ahead of us right now.